Welcome programmers. Today we're going to be talking about our Duke's Tutoring example. So the Duke's Tutoring example application is a tracking system for tutoring centers for students. Students can be checked in and out and can visit parks. The tutoring center can track attendance and status updates and can store contact information for guardians and students. Administrators can also maintain this tutoring center system. So here's the design and the architecture of Duke's tutoring system. So the Duke's tutoring example has two interfaces. The main interface for students, guardians, and employees, and an administrative interface for administrators to be able to manage the system. The business logic for both interfaces is provided by Enterprise Beans. The Enterprise Beans use the Java Persistence API to create and store the application's data in the database. So now let's take a look into our NetBeans. Once we're inside our NetBeans, let's take a look at the project that we're going to be working on. So once again, go to your case studies and go into Duke Tutoring. Go ahead and make sure that this checkbox is checked. Go ahead and open that project up. So first of all, the ones that we want to take care of, let me close those, is the first thing that you'll see is your common and your war. So this one has a few packages, the most of the stuff that we'll be taking care of, and this one has any packages that is pretty useful. Like for example, the entity packages which have all the data, the util packages which are our helper classes, and so on. Okay, so first of all, let's take a look into our Java Persistence API entities used in this main interface. So the entities that are found, so let's go into here. And let's go into here. So these will be the entities that are found in the Duke's Tutoring Common project that are used to hold on to the data that will be for example, the person details, student and guardian, address, tutoring session, status entry, and so on. The Enterprise Beans used in the main interface is found inside here. So if we go to our Duke's Tutoring WAR, go into EJB, and these are our two Enterprise Beans that we'll be using for our main interface. Okay, so then there's the Websocket Endpoint used in the main interface. So you would have to navigate to your Duke's Tutoring web. So go ahead and go into here, web.socket. So over here, there's a status endpoint. This is our endpoint that's used to create a connection with the client and the server. All right, so now let's take a look into the facelets that are used in the main interface. Once we minimize these, let's take a look into the web pages, and you'll see there's lots of them. Let's take it to index.html, for example. So over here, there's a lot of use of JavaScript. Don't worry about that too much. Just all you gotta know is this stuff is just for your WebSocket to connect and to send any messages through. Okay, so next we're going to take a look into our helper classes. Now, I talked about them before, but let's take a look at them once more. So in our source packages inside our Duke's Tutoring Common, you will find, first of all, our util. So there's the counter util, which is essentially a class that provides a method to strip the unnecessary time data from the java.util.calendar instances. So just to strip all the stuff away. And then there's the email.java, which is a custom bean validation annotation class for validating email addresses in the person entity. Just making sure that the guy has a annotate the @ symbol and it has those stuff and stuff like that. Then there's the status type.java. So this is an enumerated type defining the different statuses that a student can have. Possible values are, for example, in, out, and park. Status types is used throughout the application, including in the status entry entity and throughout the main interface. Status types also define a toString method that returns a localized transaction of the status based on the locale. So you can see over here our toString, and it tells us where we are. Okay, next let's take a look into, very important, the properties files. So let's take a look into here. Let's see. Should be in here. There we go. So here is the status messages. So this one is, first of all, it gives us the properties for our status messages. This also is changed to like different like German, Spanish. I have no idea what these are, but yeah. The same thing happens in our tutoring war. So if we go into other sources, source main resources, go into messages, you can see that these message properties, everything that has like literally anything that's English has a message that is in German, in Spanish, and so on. Next, let's take a look at our deployment descriptors used in the Duke's tutoring example. So the first thing that you'll take a look at is our facesconfig.xml. So over here, it's just easy stuff that you understand, like the supported locales. Let's see. Just telling us where to navigate, like the navigation cases. And literally just navigation cases. Wow. Okay. Okay. So next, let's take a look into our Glassfish web XML. XML. Yeah. So if we go into XML, you can see that this is just security role mapping. Just making sure that a guardian, when you sign in as a guardian, you set the group name guardian, student, administrator, and so on. Okay, next we have our web.xml. Super important. This guy tells us a lot of background information, like for example, what's the constraints, what like, for example, the authentication method, which is form, and error messages, and what what's error pages should be done. Next, there is the persistence.xml. So this one is a little hard to find. If we go into our project files, nope, that's not it. Java dependent, nope. Okay, so found it. It's inside here. So source main resources, meta-inf, and persistence.xml. Go into source, and this is where our persistence stuff is held. Okay, so now before I get into the example, let's get into the administration interface. So the administration interface of Duke's tutoring is used by the tutoring center staff to manage the data employed by the main interface, the students guardians, and the addresses. The administration interface uses many of the same components as the main interface. So first of all, enterprise beans used in the administration interface. Let's clean this guy up. Whoa, that's a lot of stuff. Let's see. So first of all, you'll see the admin bean will be used by our administration, as shown over here, tutoring admin. Then next, the faceless files. Almost all the faceless file that you saw, all these guys over here, will be used all by our administration. Next, these are the CDI managed beans. So let's take a look into our CDI managed beans. You will find them in web, and there is address bean. So address bean is used. It's a CDI bean that's used by administration. There is the guardian bean, which is also used. And then next there is the address bean. So this guy just takes care of changes the address and stuff like that. Finally, let's take a look at our helper classes. So if we go into Duke's tutoring.web.util, you will find the entity converter, which converts our data and stuff. And so you can change the data of anything. Guardian converter, which converts all student instances to strings and back, and student converter, which is basically the same thing as the guardian converter. One more thing, the entity converter, what it does is it helps increase performance by storing the cache. So when you upload it once, if you try to go for it again, it will store the cache. Okay, so enough rambling, let's take a look into how do we run the Duke's tutoring case study example. So before we begin, you want to make sure that your Glassfish server is running. And also, if the database server is not already running, you can check that over here. JavaDB. It looks like it's running for me, but if it's not running, go ahead and start the server. And it should do that. Okay, so it's telling me that it's already in use because it's already started. And then next, let's take a look at our Duke's tutoring folder. So this guy over here, let's go ahead and right click it. And let's build it. So go ahead and build. Now that we have our Duke's Tutoring War example built, let's go ahead and go into our Chrome and go into http:/localhost 8080/Dukes. Let's see, Duke's Tutoring War. Okay, so over here, you will see that this is the main interface to check students in and out, and to log when the students go to the park. So to use the administration interface of Duke's Tutoring, so you have to follow these instructions. So first of all, what you want to do is, if you want to go into administration, go and click this administration main page. And what it will ask you is, it will ask you for a username and password. So on the login page, go ahead and enter in admin@example.com. And in the password, you want to put Java EE. That's JAVAEE. Go ahead and log that in. And now in the administration interface, you can go ahead and add and remove guardians wherever you wish. You can also create students as well. So you can create a new student, you can activate a student, and yeah, so let's just go ahead and do that. Let's say that we don't like Buster Bluff, and let's remove him. So he's now gone from our thing. Let's say we want to add somebody in. Let's create a new student, and let's call him Viprov. And middle name is Pro. And the nickname, let's call him VP. Suffix, I don't know. School, let's say John Fraser Secondary School. And let's say I'm in 11th grade. Let's say the phone number could be that. Okay, so now we have VP programming. And now the current status is out, so let's activate him. So let's first, Buster Bluff is actually inactive. So we can go ahead and activate him again. So let's go ahead and edit him, and we can edit anything you want. You can even change up any students over here. And literally, let's see, what else can I show you? I think that's it. I mean, you can play around with this, like try out anything. Go ahead and go into the main page, log out. Yep. And that's literally it. I mean, that's just how it works. Okay, so one thing that I want to tell you, the administration interface is not fully implemented. It's still not possible to edit a guardian or to view or edit an address, although faceless pages exist for these features. So over here, you'll see that the faceless pages are there for you. The application also makes no use of the properties in the person details entity, so feel free to modify the application to add these features. And that wraps it up for today's tutorial, everybody. This example was kind of long, but I hope you understood how we can use multiple things in this example. In the next example, we'll take a look into our Duke's Forest case example, and I'll see you there in the next video.